they're acting like we just kind of realized maybe boys are suffering too. Really? Because we realized that 15 years ago.
They're only seeing a problem now.
Yes.
Because it is affecting women.
We're gonna get to that.
They only care how it works. They only care about the well-being of guys and men and boys insofar as it's affecting women.
You don't think about boys and just assume they're going to be okay because they've been running the world and, you know, they've got all the advantages relative to the girls, and all of which has historically been true in all kinds of ways. But precisely because of that, if you're not thinking about what's happening to boys and how are they being raised, then that can actually hurt women. And I would argue that some of the broad political trends we've seen, not just in this country, but around the world, have to do with this sense of boys, men not feeling as if they are seen, feeling as if they count. And that then makes them more interested, appeals by folks who say, you know what, the reason you don't feel respected is because women have been doing this, or this group has been doing this, or that group's been doing this. That's not a healthy place to be. I will say, as quote unquote progressives, Democrats, progressive parents, enlightened ones, we've made that mistake sometimes in terms of our rhetoric, where it's like we're constantly talking about, you know, what's wrong with the boys instead of what's right with them. Rightly have tried to invest in girls to make sure that there's a level playing field and then that they're not barred from opportunities. But we haven't been as willing, I think, to be intentional about investing in the boys, and that's been a mistake. I think people are starting to recognize that. So going back to your optimism, I think there's a healthier conversation taking place now, both among this new generation of young women and men, but also among the public at large that's starting to see like, hey, you know, we got to do better by our boys. And if we do better by our boys, we're producing stronger, more confident men. That's going to be good for our girls.
Awesome. All right. Anybody have any thoughts on that?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Do you think cognitive decline? Because I'm just wondering.
No. Go ahead.
I think it's pretty right.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm laughing, but is that why men wants to be women now? So they feel more like...
You took it way far. Way. I don't disagree with you, but you took it way there. You have one?
Yeah, I just feel like there's fathers out there, they don't have the best example for boys. Boys grow up with a low self-esteem. And then in also different situations where they feel like women owe them, like, you know, a relationship or owe them. And that's where these, honestly, I'm big on documentaries. So, a lot of these documentaries and these killers, it's because they're being rejected by women. You know, like there is just like this whole thing of like... It
tends to be a problem they have with their mother, generally, and those with the ones you're talking about.
And then social skills and then just like craziness where they just feel like
I think
girls owe it to them.
I think what President Obama is saying has more to do with the fact that like we haven't really thought about the fact that boys could suffer or fall behind. It wasn't we were disagreeing with the argument. We just weren't even having the discussion before. Does that make sense?
Yes, but they're only seeing a problem now.
Yes.
Because it is affecting women.
They
only care how it works. They only care about the well-being of guys and men and boys insofar as it's affecting women. It's all within the context of this gynocentric singular focus on, well, we need better boys. Why? Because we need better boys to be better boys for women. That's why.
Especially in nowadays, because women are like boss women.
Go ahead.
Well, it's just the landscape's like changed exponentially. We used to have male role models. We used to have like male teachers. That's declined, right?
Yes.
That doesn't exist ananymore.
You guys are all right. You guys are all correct, but you're having the discussion on the level that he's having the discussion on instead of asking the real question, which is how the fuck did this finally get to him? Do you understand? This is what he's saying is what we've been saying for 17 years. And it's been so fucking hard for people to listen to. And finally, they can't deny it anymore. They see 68, it's unignorable. 68% of college graduates are female, which is great. I understand that's what Title IX wanted to do. But we got to the point where now these women who have college educations have no men that they want to date. And they're like looking for who to blame. It must be because men have fallen short. It's
and
like, no.
Emotional intelligence.
I mean, but emotional intelligence is not.
We've had 12 new wave.
Is not about emotional
We've had
intelligence.
12 new wave feminist movements in the last like 15 years, right? What has there been for men? So of course, men have like we've had trans movements.
Again, you're still having the conveation instead of asking the question.
Why is
how does the man who literally wanted us canceled now agreeing with us. That's what I'm trying to bring up. The man who literally did him and Biden, who did everything they could to try to censor us. The DHS literally put him on a watch list. The DHS funded, spent $700,000. The point I'm trying to make is the point is not the argument is valid. Of course the argument's valid. Of course it's valid. You have men taking their, like men over the age of 40 or divorced, taking their lives 9 times at the rate of the general population. Men are more likely to suffer from mental illness, be homeless, lose their job, like all kinds of things. Because if there is a patriarchy, the heel of patriarchy is always on the necks of poor men. It's not on the necks of women. I'm sorry. If there is a patriarchy and at the top is these successful men, the bottom of the patriarchy is always low status men. That is always the way it's been, and it's been that way in every single culture throughout history. And so now, finally, we've gotten to the point where Richard Reeves and Scott Galloway and Barack Obama, they can't ignore it anymore. Now, instead of sitting there, they're acting like, we just kind of realized maybe boys are suffering too. Really? Because we realized that 15 years ago. We figured it out. So the question I have to ask is not whether or not what he's saying is correct. It is correct. The question I'm asking is, how is this man who has like simply tried to cancel my entire side of the aisle now agreeing with me? How bad have things gotten if now they're agreeing with what we're saying in this whole situation? And we have more clips of Scott Galloway. Again, these guys are liberals. He's at the City College of New York. These guys are hardcore liberals, and they're agreeing with us now.
Richard Reeves.
Because you can't keep disagreeing with this whole situation. Listen, I don't want to say, because the word delusional, I know it pisses a lot of people off. We got into a point where this is basically how the world works now, okay? There are these factors that are bringing women up, and the main one is higher education and higher earning potential, okay? And that's everything from college-educated, college-qualified jobs that you get to fans. And it's bringing women up. The average income for women is rising. And if you count non-child care, so women who don't take care of children, it's actually, they're on par with men now. There is no pay wage gap if you don't have a kid. The pay wage gap is a child care gap. Professor Richard Reeves proved that. So these are the forces bringing women up. And then here are the forces bringing men down. Sedation, pornography, right? Everything becomes virtual. A lack of in real life skills, video games.
Weed.
So these things, these sedations are pulling men down. And while these socioeconomic realities are driving women up, and women, because of hypergamy, only date across and up, there's no men for them to date. And what has happened instead is we have the lowest marriage and birth rate in recorded history. And everyone's like trying to find some other reason why this is happening. There is one reason why it's happening, and it's very plain and obvious. It just took them 20 years to finally get here. That's the point. That's the reason why I wanted to bring the whole thing up.